How's it going, Mathaholics? Today we're going to be describing functions and asking ourselves, is this a function or is this not a function? So I'm going to write down the definition of a function, and I highly recommend you write it down as well because you're going to need to know this in order for everything else to make sense. So we have a function, let's see, we have a function if each x coordinate has one and only one y output. So I'm going to explain what this means. I just put that in red. Or should I make it blue? I feel like we have a lot of red around here already. Let's make it green. Okay. So we have a function if each x coordinate has one and only one y output. So let's take a look right over here where I'm about to, there we go, right here. In this example, let's say boys are x and girls are y. So let's look at our definition. We have a function if each x coordinate has one and only one y output. All right, so let's see what we can do with that information. Boys are x, girls are y. Billy only likes Sally. So an x only has one y. So far, so good. Bob only likes Sue. An x only has one y. So far, so good. And Johnny only likes Susan. So an x only has one y. So that's pretty good. Looks like this, yes. We have a function over here. This whole thing, this is going to be a function. Okay, now let's delete all this. And let's look at this second one over here. Once again, let's look at the definition. We have a function if each x coordinate has one and only one y output. So let's see if we have the requirements here. Billy still only likes Sally, Bob likes Sue, and Johnny also likes Sue. Wait a second here. So do we have a function? Because here, our x, our boys are x, remember? We see two x's liking the same y. So do we have a function, yes or no? Well, the answer to that question would be yes, we do. Because let's look at our definition one more time. Each x coordinate has one and only one y output. Even though Bob and Johnny both like Sue, each of them only likes one girl. It'd be a problem if Bob liked Sue and Sally, or if Bob liked all three of the girls. But as long as each of them only have one Y, that's okay. So that being said, let's look at this last example over here on the far right. Billy likes Sally. He still likes Sally. They're probably going to get married. So far, so good. Bob likes Sue, and Bob also likes Susan. I think we have a problem now. Let's look at our definition one more time. Each x has one and only one y output. As we can see here, Bob is ruining the game for us. Bob is not a very good guy because Bob likes Sue and he also likes Sally. So this guy ruins the function for us. So no, this is not a function. Now that we kind of understand that, let's go look at this with some real math. Domain is going to be your x values. This is going to be pretty much true from here on out, all the way up to like college math or however much math you take. Remember, domain is x values, range is y values. I would go ahead and write this down if you don't think you're going to remember that. Or even if you do think you're going to remember that, because sometimes we think we'll remember things and we don't. So I'd just go ahead and do yourself the favor now and write it down. Domain is x, range is y. Here we have our domains because, oh, and the C as well, I just didn't select it. Here we have our domains because these are our x values. And then here we have our y's because those are our ranges. Let's see, do we have a function here, yes or no? What is the definition? Each x can only have one y. I'm going to write it back up here. Each x can only have one y. So let's see, does this work here? A, these are our x's, remember. A only goes to 3, so far so good. B only goes to 2, so far so good. And C only goes to 2. Even though B and C are both going to this number 2, each x is only going to one y value, so that is perfectly okay. And now, let's look over here. A, B, and C, as you can already see, this B over here is going to 2 different y's. So he's trying to have 2 girlfriends, and we do not allow that. So that is why this one over here, this is not a function. And as you can see in this first one, it's perfectly okay if the y has 2 x values going into it, but it's not okay if the x's are going to 2 different y's, as we see in this example. That's pretty much the gist of it. If you feel like you need to rewatch that video, that part of the video, go right on ahead. That's why it's a video. You can watch it as many times as you want without having to ask questions in class, feeling embarrassed. We all know what that's like. It's not a comfortable idea. So now we see graphs and we ask ourselves, are these graphs a function, yes or no? When we have a question like this, there's a little test that we can put each of these graphs into, and that is called the vertical line test. And believe it or not, it is as easy as it looks. Vertical line test, all we do is we draw a vertical line, and if this line touches that function more than once, it is not a function. So let's start drawing these vertical lines. It doesn't matter where I put this line, it is not going to touch the red line more than once, as long as it's vertical. So anywhere that I put it, it is not touching the red line more than once. Pretty simple. And I did not know that I could accidentally delete my graph there, so I have to be more careful. If I draw the line here, it only touches the graph once. If I draw the line here, it only touches it once. So this one, yes, this is a function. Now let's look at the circle or the oval. If I draw the line here, it touches it at 2 points, 1 and 2. It doesn't matter where I draw this line, it's always going to touch 2 points, and we know that this is not a function. Let's try this one. Already we see it touches at 2 points. This is not a function as well. And now let's look at this last one. This is touching the entire graph. So already we know that it is not going to be a function. And that's basically all it is. If you need a little more clarification, either watch the video again, leave a comment down below, or send me an email. All 3 of those methods will for sure help you out. I hope you learned something, and if not, just do one of those 3 methods, and I'm sure we'll get there. Thank you, and have an awesome day.